Well, good Saturday morning, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Coffee with Chris. I hope you're all doing well, and I hope you've had a fantastic week, and I hope the weekend gets even better for you if you're watching this at the beginning of the weekend. If not, I hope whatever day you're on is a fantastic day for you. So, we've got kind of a casual episode today. We are really just going to do some viewer submissions. We had quite a few sent in the last few weeks, and it took me a week or so to get caught up on them. So we're going to share a lot of viewer submissions today and go through them. And I had a couple things I wanted to kind of just run by, and then I want to drop next week's topic for us so we can get the ball rolling for that conversation. But it's been a busy week as it continues to be, and constant changes. I've been saying it the last month or so. You guys have heard me repeat it over and over again. Constant changes with the channel all the time, and the influx of emails and offers for things and all that just continues to come in. And Beth and I actually had a conversation today. We had to go during her lunchtime, and she went with me, and we had to drop off some client projects that we had done. And but we had a conversation today about we've kind of hit this little point where it's super exciting, but it's also a little scary because there's some unknown stuff and some decisions that we have to start making, and we haven't had to do that to this point. I mean, we've had new things come up and things that we're having to set up and sign up for and apply for and things like that. But in terms of making decisions on products to entertain, doing reviews for, and things like that. We're really the ball's starting to roll on that, and again, we're still fairly small, pretty small, and so I know that's just going to continue to magnify as we move forward. But we're at the point where we're starting to do that, so it's a little bit of the unknown. I know it'll become second nature after a while, but this week we had three or four, three this week, one at the end of last week. People that have sent emails from some companies wanting to do, products for reviews type of things. I talked about one last week, and that video is actually going to be coming out this coming week, the product review for those. So, but those things continue to come in, and you really just have to look at them. You can't do everything, nor do I want to, because I certainly, don't want my view for the channel is not to become a tool review channel. Mix those in occasionally, mix those in sometimes, or make them extra videos is what we've talked about. If more of those start coming in, it's a great opportunity for the channel. It's a great opportunity to try out new things and to share information with you guys. For me to get to play with new things, new toys, and things like that. But we don't want that to be the heart of the channel. That's never been the intent. It's not going to be the intent. So as those things continue to come in, we have to make decisions on which ones we want to, move forward with and which ones we don't, and how we add those to the channel without it becoming the meat of the channel, the heart of the channel, because it's not going to be that. It'll be extra on top of what we already do or like to do, and we're developing as the channel. So, but it's just it's exciting, but it's also a little stressful and nerve wracking because it's just more getting piled onto the plate. So that's just part of it, though, I guess, and we'll continue to learn as we go and learn as we grow. So, but nonetheless, man, we've got a lot of viewer submissions. Sorry. We're actually filming this week's episode. Normally I do it on a Friday morning and first thing, and it's actually Thursday night. And so I've been out in the shop all day, and I've ran and dropped off client orders today, and done normal household things, and my office window over here to my right, it's dark outside, so I'm gonna try not to yawn on you guys today, but we've got quite a bit of viewer submissions that were sent in, and so man, I want to share those. You know, I love doing that, and then I've actually got a question along with the gentleman that sent some submissions in, and I thought we'd go ahead and answer that, and then hopefully, if any of you guys have any recommendations, leave them in the comments, and I'll follow up on next week's video, and we'll see if we can help this fella out and give him maybe several different options that he could think about. So, first one we got is from Dave, and he sent this in to me, and he saw the video we did last week or week before last, I guess it was, and I don't know, they run together now. But he saw the video where we did kind of took our hymn sign and did a little upgrade on it, and so he sent me one that he had done years ago, and this here is his what I'm gonna call is his like hymn sign wall art, and man, this thing is really nice, and I kind of it kind of makes mine look bad that I did, which I mean that's cool. It's kind of similar in a way to what we did, you know, on the video, but added the actual cross in the middle. He, you know, his hymn that he's got on this example is Old Rugged Cross, which that's about as good as it gets when it comes to old hymns. And but man, I love the color variation in the wood, darker to lighter, you know, and that sort of thing. You know, and that's what I tried to do on my example, and so I think that looks fantastic on here. And then I don't know if it'll show up if you can see it well enough on your screen. I'm able to blow it up, you know, on my computer when I get the emails in. But the actual cross itself has got kind of routed like I'm going to call it a wave pattern, but it really gives the effect that it's the old wood, like the old rugged cross. And man, I just love the detailing in that, and I actually really like the size of the cross itself. I like it. It's a little thinner, and it's not as chunky looking. And of course, that allows you to see the hymn page itself a little more. And man, this thing looks sweet. It's really cool. And Dave, I may actually, you know, kind of snag this idea from you and try to make a few of these and add a cross onto my upgraded hymn sign, if you don't mind. So, but man, I think it looks so cool, and I'm so glad you sent that in because it's definitely right up our alley for our channel. So appreciate it, bud. It looks fantastic. The next one we got here is from Michael, our friend at Working Against the Grain, the channel I mentioned previous video, and I also wanted to plug his website. So Michael, while we talked, you know, last week. Again, last week before last, it's all running together. He's, you know, a little newer to the YouTube thing, but he's been making stuff and woodworking for a while. And so I'm going to put it on the screen here. His website is gctable.com. And so he said in his email he sent me that you can see a lot more of his pieces and his items on the website. He did send in this bench. It's like rustic farmhouse style is what it looks like, which is right up our woodworking company, 23 Roses. It's right up our alley. That's kind of what we like, and that's what I would say probably most of what we do is kind of rustic or rustic farmhouse stuff. And so I think this looks great. Looks like it's a bench you could sit on. Also could use it for storage, you know, and actually with the kind of the crosses there on the front or the X braces, looks like it'd be great for like blanket storage is the first thing I thought of. I don't know if that was the intent of it, Michael, but that was what I thought is it's great. I don't know if anybody's like my family, my wife and my son, the one that's still living at home. They both are very cold natured. And even when I'm sitting in the living room sweating, they are cold. And so we have, I don't know, right now probably 3 blankets on the back of our couch for the 2 of them. And they always get used. And so I like that because the first thing I thought of was blanket storage. And then he's also got it looks like a 3D model off of whatever he does is modeling off of for a chessboard. And I like chessboards. I think, man, there's unlimited to the amount of wood grain patterns you can use, color patterns, the way you can do trim around the edges. And the chessboard is actually something that's on my project list for a future video. I've got a long list of stuff, but for a future video. But it's actually on there, and it kind of I got a special place in my heart for the game of chess. I grew up playing chess. I always just called him my uncle, but he's actually my mom's uncle. He's my great uncle, I guess. But he he taught me how to play chess. He learned how to play chess. Uh, he was in World War II, and he learned while he was in the Army. And I actually have a chess set in a wooden handmade box with handmade chess pieces in the box. And on the top, it's written in German. I can't read it, but it was actually given to my uncle by the Army chess champion of his. I don't know if it was of his squad or of his, yeah, I don't, or platoon. I don't, whatever, he was part of. I'm not familiar with that exactly, but it was given to him, and it's like signed or a note written to him or whatever on the top with the date on it. And I've always kept that. I've always played with those. I've always cherished that. And so I've always wanted to make a custom board that I made to go with those pieces. I have some other cool boards that I've bought, but I always thought that was something I wanted to do. So that's on my list, man. Michael, thank you for sending that stuff in. You guys check out his website as well. And then while I'm going down the line, I also wanted to give a shout out to Chad Matthews. He's the one that sent in the hand router ones that we've shared before. We shared, again, I don't know why I can't think if it was last week or the week before last. I think it was 2 weeks ago. And I apologize for getting that wrong. But he's the one that shared those, and I'd asked him to kind of get back with me on router bits and stuff, and you did, my man. And I certainly thank you for that. And I'm going to be, again, like I said, that's some things that are on my list to add to my repertoire down the line. Is some hand engraving stuff. So appreciate you get back with me and sharing all the information you did with me, Chad, and very helpful. Appreciate that. And the last one we got here, guys, I'm just going to read his email out for us. He left a little longer one. He said he would have put this in the comments, but he thought it was too long. But he gave me permission to go ahead and share all of it. And like I said, I thought this would be a great chance after we go over his build submissions he sent in. He had a question about a project he's going to be having coming up. And he asked me some advice on it, and I thought I'll give you my advice, but I thought it'd also be a great way to get some input from some other people as well, that we can maybe get him several things to think about. So, anyways, this is he says, "Hey, Nick here, owner of Salt and Sawdust Woodworks, and I will tell you, he's also an Arkansas guy. He's about an hour and a half from me, I believe, is where he lives, and." So fellow Arkansas woodworker here. He said, I've been doing woodworking now since around September of last year, so not too long. It started with making wooden gifts for my nieces and nephews and my 2 kids last year, and now this year I'm working on starting to make things to sell. Yep, it's getting addictive. He said, I've managed to sell a few things already, so that's been exciting. It always is. And I will start doing some things for local craft shows soon. All right. He said, I'm actually in Arkansas as well. He said, anyways, I really enjoy your Coffee with Chris series that you do. I appreciate that, man. I really do. This is, I've said before, Coffee with Chris doesn't get anywhere remotely close to the views of the other videos. But this is like, to me, this is enjoyable. I really enjoy doing these. So, and I actually, before we get done with this video today, I want to talk about that a little bit. But he said, I really enjoy your Coffee with Chris series that you do, and I've been meaning to write in for a while and give you some pictures, some stuff I made for Christmas this past year, and a few other projects. So that's what he's doing now. I got to switch sides, guys. The lighting's bad. Probably should be wearing my reading glasses. I don't know why I torture myself. He says, so let me go over the build submissions first before I get to his question. So this first one here, I chuckled. I really laughed when I pulled this up, and I'll tell you why. This first one's a comb that he's got made, and I call this a beard comb. I don't know if that's what it is, but I've actually ordered a few of these before, just from like Amazon or whatever. Obviously, you know. But this also is on my list of things to make as a quick small build video. I've been thinking about making combs for a while. Like I said, doing a video for the channel with one, and then selling them, maybe as smaller items at my craft shows as well. This one looks really good, and so when I pulled up the email and pulled up the pictures, I went, that's perfect. So to me, this is a beard comb. I don't know if that's what it's supposed to be, but that's what it looks like to me. So that's what we're going with. But I love the coloring in it. I think it looks fantastic. And something I'm also got on my list. Next one we got is a bottle opener, and another thing that's a great small for your booths when you start your craft shows. I've talked about on other videos the variety, having the variety where you got those quick impulse buys, and then you got your other stuff along with it. And both the comb and the bottle opener, great impulse buys, and great to just have a basket full of those things. Third one here we got looks like a coin box, and it even looks like he's got some coins on it. Maybe that's for the kids to play with. He said he's making them for his kids and nieces and nephews. So, yeah, boxes are cool. I haven't made a lot of boxes. I know that's kind of like a woodworker's, that's kind of like your passage thing. You got to make a box and work on your joinery and that kind of thing. The only thing I've really done as a box, just to be honest with you, is my father-in-law, passed away last year, and we made his. He was cremated, and we made his basically his urn, but we did it, a box, and then we did it all out of magnolia and walnut, and I thought it was beautiful. I've actually got some pictures of it. If I can find them while I'm editing, I'll put it on the screen here as well. Not to take away from Nick, but yeah, that was kind of my box, and we did it to fit the ashes, obviously, and it was very bittersweet of a project, but it was kind of our way of honoring him. He's the one, I've talked about it before. He's the one that a lot of the tools I've got out in the shop I got from him, and he's a lifelong woodworker, so that was kind of our way of honoring him. Let's see, and then let's see. So these next couple things, man, I tell you, I looked once and I had to look twice. So this next one here, there's one picture that's got his logo, his Salt and Sawdust Woodworks logo. And just as a side note, I love the round logo. I know everybody's got different logos. I really like the round logos. I don't know why. I guess you got the saw blade kind of thing there going on, but I don't know. I've always liked having logos in the round shape, and so I think that's pretty cool. And our logo for our woodworking business, can't really see it on my shirt here, but it's round as well. But the next picture, because I went, it's like his logo. So business card holders, check this out. And man, these are super cool. And Nick, I gotta ask you, bud, the little hinge pin, how small is that? For some reason, that's the first thing I noticed is the little hinge pin you made in there. I don't even know if I could do something that detailed. So man, that looks super cool. It's a really cool little project, and again, great smalls for your craft booth or your craft fairs. Next one here, I'm pretty sure are money clips. You could also use them for card clips, I guess, but I think they're intended to be money clips. And then our last one here is, I think it's just like a business card holder is what it looks like. Again, man, those are all fantastic smalls, batched out smalls for your craft booth. However you decide to price them, every little thing's help. And especially during the holiday time, we've talked about that on the show. People pick up stuff just like you made, started making things for gifts. People pick up things for gifts like that. And especially if you got them at a good price point where you can still make a little money, but people just, dude, I mean, you've got a great start for, smalls. And they don't take up a lot of room on your table in your booth, or whatever size area you got. And so you got plenty of room for some larger things if you want, you add those in there as well. So, man, fantastic stuff, man. Thanks for sending those in. And this is why I like doing this, because somebody's going to see this and go, I want to try to make that. Exactly what I did. I saw this stuff and man, I want to try to make some of those for my booth. So I appreciate you doing them. And man, that perfect. Thank you so much, and thanks for getting them in. I know you said you've been meaning to do that for a while, but man, fantastic. But I want to read your question here, and and I want to go ahead and answer it on the video. But so here's a question, guys, and this is for everyone. We can all chip in. It says, if you don't mind, I wanted to pick your brain about a Christmas request I've been given. My father-in-law would like a picnic table to go out by the pond for him, his wife, and currently 5 grandkids. I'm thinking for all of it, it'll end up being about about an 8 foot long picnic table. So I'll need a third set of legs in the center to keep everything from sagging. I think that's a great idea. It says the question though is that since it's going to be outside all the time by the pond, it's going to need some extra consideration on materials or finishing, and would like to get your thoughts on it. Well, since you gave me permission to share it on the video, you'll get my thoughts and hopefully some more, bud. My current thought process is to use treated 2x4s for the legs and bench supports, and then cedar 2x4s for the tabletop and bench tops. For finishing, I've thought about painting the legs and supports and then using like a deck stain or some kind of finish with UV protection in it to have a more natural wood table and bench top look. However, I'm sure if the pressure treated pine will paint well, and if it would still need the epoxy feet caps I've seen people do on some other videos. So let's kind of start at the top. And again, I want to give you my quick thoughts, and then hopefully we'll get some input from other people this week, and we can follow up next week and maybe give you some extra thoughts on it or extra advice or people that have built them or whatnot. Um, so first of all, how fantastic a picnic table out by the family pond. I talk about the farm on a lot of videos all the time. We've got a pond on the farm there, and people go down and fish at the right times of year. And of course, we hunt out there and various things, and it's just, I don't know, man. There's something cool about having a family pond on land. I don't know what it is. It's it just kind of makes your heart all warm and fuzzy. But having the picnic table out there, he's going to love that. So to get to your question here, using treated 2x4s for the legs and bench supports, and then cedar 2x4s for the tabletop and bench tops. So, quick thoughts on that. I think treated 2x4 is probably it is a common wood that's used for making picnic tables. And you can buy them from Lowe's. Our Lowe's always has them out front. Picnic tables, made of pine, 2x4s, and that type of material. Obviously treated, if it's going to be outside permanently all the time, would be a way to start off with it. And then, of course, cedar is, perfect for outdoors. And as with anything, with cedar planters or anything, it's naturally, rot resistant, bug resistant, so it's a fantastic material. Also, you're talking about a coating like a weather seal or something like that. The one thing with cedar, you don't have to weather seal it. Now, it will help hold its natural color longer. Now, you do have to do that, every year or 2 years. There's different opinions about that, but it will help hold its kind of reddish and orangish tones in those things if you do treat it or seal it. If you don't, it'll still be good out there, but it will gray a little bit. So, that's the thing with cedar. So the first thing I may pose is, what about doing all of it out of cedar? That would be, first immediate thought is maybe doing all of it out of cedar. Now, depending on where you're sourcing the cedar from, if you've already got some cedar available, or if you're buying the cedar, obviously it would add a little bit of cost to it, using cedar for the supports and the legs as opposed to, treated lumber from big box store or whatnot. So it would add a little bit of cost to it, but it would also give you, maybe a little more durability and have it all be uniform. So just a thought there, different circumstances, but just a thought. In terms of the treated 2x4s, you said I thought about painting the legs and the supports, so the treated pine, and then using a deck stain or some kind of finish. And then you were talking about, would the paint be good for the treated pine? So I have done some projects for outside and painted treated pine. And I didn't have a problem with the paint going on. What I experienced, and somebody else may have different experiences, what I experienced was over a short period of time, the the chemical in the treated wood started to discolor through the paint, and so I don't, that may sound weird, but that's what I've experienced. It started discoloring through the paint as it kind of seeped out or dried up, various things like that. And so maybe if you're using a dark color paint, yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's an exact thing. That's just what I've experienced. So just something to think about. Now, as far as like a Thompson's water seal or a UV protectant sealant, I would do that, probably no matter what kind of wood you decided to go with, treat it in some way. Now, so in terms of painting and sealing, another idea may be, a product like some of the different water sealant products, UV coated products. There's a plethora of tint colors that they can be done. You get them from, like I said, the big box stores, and they can be tinted a ton of different colors, and they're kind of an all-in-one or two-in-one product, or however you want to look at it. And so maybe an option. I did some outdoor patio furniture last year, and I'll try to put it on the screen here for you to give you an example. And it is a water sealant product, UV protectant product that was tinted, and so it's, that's what we use for these couple pieces of patio furniture that we sold last year. So definitely a product to look into or something to think about, regardless of the type of wood you use. Obviously, if you go with cedar, you may just want to have it clear and not tinted. But if you go with pine for any of those pieces, then something to think about. Maybe doing a tint instead of a tinted sealant and protectant instead of the paint, and then like a clear over it. And then the last part you got there is about the epoxy feet caps. I'll be real honest with you, man. I haven't seen that done with it or dealt with it. I haven't watched a lot of videos on building picnic tables, even though that, again, that is on my project list, because I have an area outside of my office window here into our backyard where we did have an old table that I got rid of that just finally got too weather worn. And I want to replace it and put a picnic table out here that I want to build and make a video out of for maybe something for next spring. It'd be a good time to do it. But I'll be honest with you, I haven't seen the epoxy feet caps, so I'm not familiar with that. If there's anybody watching that has done those, seen that, knows what he's referring to, drop a comment and see if we can give some advice on that, because I don't have anything to share on that because I'm not real familiar with it. But I'm going to get done with the video and look them up. So, but I hope that helped you out a little bit, Nick. And like I said, if somebody's got some thoughts on building this picnic table, that maybe giving some other opinions or advice, drop it in the comments, and we'll share it on the video next week and see if we can just give several ideas to think about. So that's all I got for today, guys. I know it actually went longer than I wanted it to, or I thought it would, as it always does. But I wanted to give you our topic for next week. And I've got a few more woodworking topics on the slate. And then I think we're going to spend some time on some non-woodworking topics. That was kind of the point of Coffee with Chris, is to be able to branch out and just have discussions about whatever. And so I'm kind of at the point where I want to do that a little bit. So, and speaking of that, before I give you next week's topic, as I've been saying, the channel is evolving some, and it will continue to evolve, and it's just a constant moving thing. This YouTube deal is, and so just kind of nothing right now, but something that we're discussing. Maybe next year, first of next year, we'll kind of see how it goes. Is we're throwing around the idea of taking this Coffee with Chris kind of series we do and making it a separate channel. And a lot of that just depends on how it naturally progresses. But I get some good comments. Again, like I said, these don't get near the views that build videos or the tips and tricks or the other videos get. And some of that may be just due to, like I've talked about before, the algorithm doesn't pick this up as much as it does those other ones, because it's a kind of a little bit different than what the traditional woodworking stuff is. So, and that's okay. But that's something we've kind of tossed around, is maybe at some point, not anytime right now or anytime soon, but at some point in the future, branching this out into a second channel, to where we could have this. It makes sense. Then we could talk about more than just woodworking stuff. It would be a life channel and a guy channel, or just any topic we want to talk about, kids and raising kids and family and faith and anything else. And we kind of wouldn't feel like we got to always keep woodworking as part of it, because it would be a kind of a different space or a different channel. So not anything soon, but maybe something down the line where we've thrown around doing at some point in time. And I would, if that ever happens, I would love for you guys all to subscribe to that one too, so we can keep what we got going here rolling on that one. And it would be in addition to the channel that, the More Than Sawdust, because that's something, I want to do long term also. So, but next week's topic, kind of a fun, casual one. So, if you've already got a business, either your woodworking business, you do craft shows, you sell stuff online, whatever it is, or you just do it as a hobby, if you had to start over tomorrow, whether it be something tragic, like you had to move for some reason and you had to rebuild a shop, or, whatever it would be. If you had to start over tomorrow, would you do something different than what you've done so far? And what would that be and why? And I think my answer might shock you. So I'm looking forward to sharing it. But if you had to start over again tomorrow with your woodworking journey, your hobby, your business, whatever the case may be, would you do it differently? What would you change about it, and why? And I look forward to talking about that next week. Thanks for joining me. You guys have a fantastic rest of the day. Be blessed, and we'll talk to you soon.